Welcome to The Explainer. What if I told you there's a simple tool that could change your life, your work, and even your confidence? And what if it all started with a single decision that takes just 5 seconds?
I know. It sounds a little like a late-night infomercial, right? But according to author Mel Robbins, this is no gimmick. It's a really powerful technique, and it's all rooted in the science of how our brains actually work.
To really get the power of this rule, we have to go back to its origin story. And it starts with Mel Robbins, at age 41, feeling like her life was completely falling apart. I mean, her finances were a mess, her marriage was in trouble, and her self-esteem was basically gone. And her day always started with this exact sound. But instead of that feeling of a fresh start, that sound just triggered this overwhelming wave of dread. You know? Lying there in bed, her mind would just race, listing every single problem she had to face that day. The lien on the house, the bank account in the red, the constant fighting with her husband.
And you know that feeling, right? That little gut instinct that says, hey, you should get up. Mel had that feeling. But in that split second, that tiny little pause, her own mind would turn on her, just flooding her with all the worries and all the excuses.
And so what did she do? She hit the snooze button. It felt like this little act of defiance against her problems, but really, it was an act of self-defeat. That one small decision, repeated morning after morning, became a habit that just set this negative, draining tone for her entire day. And this, right here, is what we'll call the 5-second trap. It's that little window of time between having an instinct to do something good for yourself and your brain swooping in to kill that instinct with doubt, with fear, with overthinking. We all fall into it. So she was completely stuck in this negative loop. Until one night, she's just kind of zoning out, watching TV. And a commercial comes on showing a rocket launch with that classic final countdown. And watching it, this simple, almost kind of ridiculous idea just popped into her head. She decided, that's it. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to launch myself out of bed. It was a gut instinct, an idea she could have just as easily dismissed as being stupid. But she didn't. And that one little decision, well, it would end up changing absolutely everything. So the next morning comes, the alarm blares, that feeling of dread comes rushing right back in. But this time, instead of listening to it, she did something totally different. She just ignored her feelings and she started counting backwards in her head. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the second she hit 1, she physically stood up. She launched herself out of bed before her brain even had a chance to catch up.
And in that moment, the 5-second rule was born. The core idea is so simple, but it's also incredibly profound. That 5-second window, it's not just a countdown, it's a window of opportunity that's closing fast. If you don't physically move before your brain slams that window shut with a million excuses, that instinct, that urge to act, it's just gone.
Okay, so here's how you actually put it into practice. It all starts with an instinct. You know, that little gut feeling to raise your hand or make that call, or just get up off the couch. The second you feel it, you start the countdown. Think of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 as a starting ritual, something that interrupts your hesitation. And then, and this is the most crucial part, the moment you hit 1, you have to move. Any physical action works, as long as it's pushing you forward.
So why does a simple little countdown have such a massive effect? Well, it's not magic. It's a brain hack. The scientific term for it is metacognition, which is really just a fancy way of saying you're using one part of your brain to outsmart another part. You're basically tricking your brain's own self-protective and, let's be honest, often self-sabotaging instinct. Think of it like this. Your brain has a default mode. And that mode loves being comfortable, and it hates risk. So when you hesitate, that's the part that takes over, right? It blows up problems and it makes up excuses. But counting backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that's a pattern interrupt. It forces a gear shift in your brain, and it wakes up your prefrontal cortex. That's the part you use for focus, for change, for deliberate action. It's basically your command center. And when you use this tool to push yourself again and again and again, you're building something way deeper than just productivity. At its very core, the 5-second rule is a way to practice what Mel Robbins calls everyday courage. We tend to think of courage as this big, heroic thing, you know? But there's also the courage it takes to do things that are just difficult or uncertain.
Speaking up in a meeting when you're nervous, being honest when it would be easier not to, even just getting out of bed on a really tough day. According to Robbins, that courage isn't something you have to go find, it's a birthright that's already inside all of us.
And the proof is really in the stories of people who are using this rule. Take Laura, for example. She was stuck in this cycle of making to-do lists and then just making excuses. By using the 5-4-3-2-1 method to push herself into action, she not only finished her college degree, but she started tackling goals she had only ever dreamed about.
And the financial impact? Well, she increased her cash flow by this much, $4,000 a month. I mean, that number represents the raw power of replacing a habit of hesitation with a new habit of 5-second action.
It's not just for daily habits either. It's for those huge, lifelong dreams. Mark had wanted to start a nonprofit hockey league for inner-city kids for decades. It was just this big idea stuck in his head, until he used the rule to finally take that first, scary step. And now, that idea is a reality, and it's changing kids' lives.
This rule can also be a lifeline in our most personal, private battles. Bill used what he called the countdown trick to fight his addiction to alcohol. In those critical moments of temptation, that 5-4-3-2-1 countdown gave him just enough space, just enough of a pause, to interrupt that impulse and choose sobriety instead. He celebrated his 40th birthday completely sober.
And in the absolute darkest moments, those 5 seconds can be the difference between life and death. A work colleague of Mel's was at his lowest point, suicidal. In that moment, the instinct to use the rule kicked in, 5-4-3-2-1. He used it to interrupt that terrible impulse, to put down the means, and to call for help. 5 seconds. That small act of courage literally saved his life.
So you see, this isn't just Mel's story or Laura's or Mark's. Their stories just show us what's possible. The rule is a simple tool that is available to every single one of us, right here, right now.
Your entire life is just a series of these 5-second decisions. There are moments where you can hesitate and stay stuck in your old patterns, or you can push yourself 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 toward the life that you actually want to live.
The power of this rule isn't in knowing about it, it's in using it. The magic is in the action. So, this explainer ends with a question for you. Your next 5-second window is coming up. What are you going to do with it?